Am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, yeah. You're audible.
Yes, so just one or two small query in between. Can I ask?
It is about operational or technical.
This is some of the activity question in week 3 practice assignment. I have some small doubt. One or two.
But then you can wait for a minute. Like we'll start. We'll take the question there then,
Okay.
because other people also can, yeah, go through that, right?
Okay.
Okay. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I think we can. Yeah, Samit, you want to ask something, right?
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, yeah. We'll take few questions, but about week 5, what we'll do, like, we'll have a discussion on few topics because it's a kind of a new kind of thing. And after that, we'll go for the activity questions for week 5. Yeah. First, yeah, Shamit. Yeah.
No, first, actually, sir, I have an activity question from week 3. Some
Yeah,
one
you can
small.
ask. Yeah. Yeah, please.
Yeah, suppose, sir, in the parent class, there is a method called public static void, and suppose F1 is the method, something.
Yeah.
And in the child class, once again, I have the method public static void
Mhm.
F1 and in something.
Yeah.
Then when I'm calling the object, then what is this hiding means when I
I,
call,
See, overriding and hiding are two different things. Overriding means you're considering what is you're having in the parent and you are changing it. But hiding means you're not having a access to the parents one. You're writing it from the scratch. So that's basically like the simple rule for the static. It cannot be overridden. So that's why it's basically hidden.
sir, if you can just open the question number, practice assignment question
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
2,
So
then
Nalini Anand sir, do you have this accessible that question?
Yeah, I will open, sir.
Yeah. Please share.
Can you tell me the lecture and question number?
question number 2, practice assignment 3.
Okay, practice assignment 3. Yeah. Okay. Arup sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, visible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So question 2.
This one, no?
Yes, this one.
Okay. So you are asking about this thing, no? Perimeter.
Perimeter. Perimeter is the public static void perimeter. The same thing is parent and child, both methods is written same. Now the question is, little go down, sir.
Shall I go down more?
Go down, go down.
Okay.
Yeah, which method hide methods in the parent class? This part I don't understand what this hide means.
It means improper overriding, which is not proper overriding. See, the overriding. Some noise is coming. Okay. See, the overriding is a runtime. What I can say, phenomena. So, which can only happen on the runtime. And remember, it's a as you implement the object, the overriding happens. But you need to understand that a static function is not associated with an object. Static function is associated with the class. That's the first thing. And secondly, a static function do not go for a runtime binding. That's why it's a static. It goes for a static binding or compile time binding. So that is the reason you cannot have a proper overriding for method. So if you have a version on the parent and another version in the child, being the signature being same, if it's a non-static, we call it as a overriding, but the improper overriding which occurs for the static, we call it as a hiding.
Okay, okay, sir. And so go for the question number 3. Sir, please go down. Question 3. I think it is the same thing that I am facing from. Yeah, question 3. So here, they are asking for this thing. In which line having the error?
Yeah.
I think it is the same thing, because in the parent,
anyone can see in practice questions na, we are tried to cover few key points which are not directly discussed in the lecture. So like here the final keyword you can see, no?
yes,
Final. So what is the significance of final?
final means that particular method or class where I mentioned this as a final, I cannot able to change. In case of instant variable,
We
if
cannot
I
override.
override, also in for a method I cannot override. In for a
Final
class,
can be
I cannot
used in
extend.
3 ways.
The value cannot be changed.
If it is used for a variable, then it becomes a constant, a fixed value, right?
Correct.
If it is used for a function or method, it's not overridable. If it is used for a class, it becomes a non-inheritable, right? So that's why you can understand, no, what is the problem?
Yes, the problem, sir, I ticked the line number 10 will have a error because the method is final declared. I cannot inherit it, so it is giving a error.
Okay.
But why this line number 13 is also giving an error? Because of this static function.
Yeah, static.
Because what you have just now told, it is a
improper overriding.
Improper overriding.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, sir, please go to the question number 6.
Anand sir, Nalini, you can add also whatever your comments. I'm just telling because recently having
Question number 6. Yes. So the question number 6, it is computer. That means this particular method I block for any kind of inheritance. But still, I am able to access that and means printing the output. I'm just thinking whether during static time, during compile time, will this thing will not show any error?
Anand, you want to answer this?
Yeah, actually here final method, okay, cannot be overridden. Okay, so here you are redefining it in the cube class. okay, with the same final keyword. Okay, so it is not comes under overriding actually. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You
it
can
is
see it's a
its own
private,
thing.
no? So private
Yeah.
is not inherited at all. So it is a
Yeah.
separate instance and this is a separate instance, right?
Yes, sir.
The top one is private, right? So that's not
Yes.
getting inherited at all. So there is no overriding. So it will take, you will consider the compute area as a new function itself, new method.
But sir, my doubt is
Mhm.
when I am declaring this cube r equal to new cube, that
Mhm.
means I am creating the r reference variable under cube
Mhm.
and calling the object. When this cube object is calling,
Mhm.
automatically it will try to call is the constructor of the above
Yeah,
by default.
yeah.
And that time, since I am not able to inherited this thing, will not throw any error.
No, no, no. So that's the concept. No, privates are not inherited. So if you don't inherit it, how will do override? So whatever you create, the same thing inside the child, it will be a new thing, no?
New thing, but since I am declaring above final,
Mhm. We are not getting it, no? So there is no question of overriding then. See, if it is public, then we are getting a copy, but we are saying we cannot override. See, if it is public on the top, like in rectangle, if it is public, then you can say cube is getting the version what the rectangle given, but what I cannot do in cube, I cannot override. See, I am inheriting my parent, right? Parent is declaring something as a private, means he do not want that I'll modify that. That's all. But second way, my parent is not giving it to me. So if I want to create, I have to create my own. Making final or not overridable means my parent don't want that I'll modify it. I'll just access it, but I won't modify it. Right?
Achha. Okay.
Overriding is meant for what? You'll change the functionality, right?
Yes.
I'll take the parent's thing, then I'll change as per my need, right? But my parent want, you can access, but you cannot change what I'm giving, right? So that's, you will make it final. But the point, whenever he is making it private, that means he don't want to give it to me. So I don't have access. So whenever I'm creating the same thing, it is my own creation, right? I'm not taking anything. That's the idea.
That means in the above, in this program, in the under the public class, if instead of private, this is public final void
Yeah, you'll get a
compute,
problem. Yeah, you'll get a
then I will get a problem. Since that get blocked, so I do
Yeah.
not have any problem. Okay, understood, sir. And the question number 7 also, I think the same, the static will create in this problem. The question number 7.
Yeah, my screen updated, no?
Sorry.
My
Yeah, it's
screen
on 7.
updated, no?
Yeah, it's 7.
Yeah, yeah. So go down, sir. Go down. In this program, sir, I ticked the option, the correct option as public final int max, but the actual correct answer is public final static int max.
Yeah, that is, I told last day, no, if you have a static anything, that has to be accessed by the class name, and non-static means it's the object name. So since we are using the class name dot max, max has to be a static, right?
Oh,
Otherwise, you have to create a object of data class, then object dot max if it is a non-static, right?
okay. So last question, question number 14. Go down little. In the answer option, yes, sir. Wait, this class print, I ticked the option B, but the correct answer is option A.
Can you show the program, please?
How it is option A is correct? Because
I'm just checking. So the show method get overridden, but print is not getting overridden.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, as it is static content, so it is going to bind at compile time. No, sir.
Yeah, can you go
Print
down,
method.
please? Yeah, can you go down? Print is having a static, show is having
Yeah.
a non-static. Yeah. See, now static binding and dynamic binding, you have to understand. OA is a reference. No? OA is a reference. It
Yes.
points to which kind of object?
It's a B.
It's a B. So runtime binding is with B, but compile time bit binding is with whom?
A.
A. So whatever the static binding or compile time binding or function, for that it will call it for A. What is the runtime binding? For that it will call it from the B.
Okay.
See,
Then
compile
will
time.
this thing will
See, in the compile time,
thing
we are
not create any error?
no, why it will create? It is supporting the compile time and runtime nature, binding nature at the same time, right? Print support a compile time nature because it's a static. Shows a dynamic nature because it's a overriding, right? So what is the type of OA at compile time? It's a A. What is the runtime type of OA? It's B because it is pointing to a B object. So if I call anything which supports a static binding, that will be called from A. If I call something which is overridden, sorry, which is needs a dynamic binding, that will be called from B.
But earlier in the above, we learned if the same static function is there for the parent class and child class, then this overriding function
Overriding
cannot
is
be
not
there.
happening. That is what I'm saying. It is static binding, means we do not recognize that it has to be called from B. It will check for the data type of OA. So data type of OA A means always call from A. We do not bother where the OA on the runtime is pointing to.
Oh, acha.
See, in the compile time, you do not have any knowledge where it will be point in the future in the runtime, right? So which knowledge you have? You have only the knowledge. What is the data type of your reference? So statically, whenever or compile time, whenever you are binding means you are making a decision. If I call anything against it, from where it has to be called, right? So you know you are having only the type information. So all the static binding or compile time binding will happen from the data type, its type. But on the runtime, you know where actually it is pointing to. So the decision which needs to be taken on the runtime or dynamic, so that depends on actually where you points to, right? That data type. So since a static is a compile time binding and overriding is a runtime binding, so that's differs, right?
Okay, but in this same program, if I try to modify something in under this print class, then I will get an error.
If you remove the static, you will get an error, but if you change any other thing, it will be taken as a different function, a method. The static thing, if you make non-static, probably you'll get an error, but if you change the function name, right, or the scope, you probably, it will be taken as a separate function only.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Anything else? So shall we go for week 5?
Yes.
Okay, Anand sir, can I share? Yeah, Puneet, yeah, please go.
Good evening, sir. So can I add something to your answer for Samit?
Yeah, please.
Okay, Samit, this question has come up several times in our study group also. So firstly, understand what static does. Static keeps whatever static variables and methods are in the class's memory, in the class's static memory, it's called the class loader. It doesn't pass on to the object. Okay, so that memory part is not copied to the object. So only things that access the class's memory, those static variables will be accessible. Okay, so that's what static does. Remember that. It just keeps it within the class. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so it doesn't get copied to the object when an object is created.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shall we start? Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So we'll try to understand generic programming. So what generic programming means? Generic programming looks for writing certain algorithms which will be applicable for different types, right? Suppose I want to create a sorting algorithm or searching algorithm. So maybe my sorting algorithm will be applicable for an integer array as well as character array, string array, or any other types. Similarly, I want to build a search algorithm. I want my algorithm will be applicable for array which are of different types. So for the time being, whatever the knowledge we have, we may thought of why not create a different version of the algorithms. One will be working for a character, one will be working for integer, one will be working maybe. So, but we do not know in future how many types will come, right? We can have also user defined types. So that really we cannot uh, create so many codes, or it's basically a replication of the code because your code is going to remain the same. You're just changing your operations or some types, right? So one way to create generic programming to use object class, right? So we know the object class at the top of the Java class hierarchy. So that means any type we create in Java hierarchy, that can be converted into object class type. Since we have learned the dynamic method dispatcher that the parent type can refer to a child object. That means a child can be casted to a parent type, right? Child can be casted to a parent type. And since the object is parent for all the classes, what are the predefined or whatever the classes we create. So all can be accepted through a object class. So first example, I took it from the slide itself, but I have completed the program. So that basically looks for reversing an array, right? So reversing an array do what? So I took an integer array. Please note here, this integer is not a int. It's basically integer. What is the difference between a int and integer? Anyone? Int and integer?
So int is the data type, right?
Yeah. So for all the primitive types means the types are defined in your compiler like a int, float, double, whatever we have. Java has given you a corresponding class also, which are called as a wrapper classes, So basically this integer encapsulate your primitive type int. So it's nothing but converting a value type to a reference type or normal type like a primitive type to a class type, right? Now here why I don't use a int rather an integer. See, whenever we consider the Java class hierarchy, you need to understand object is a class and any class you have in Java, that's basically child class. But if I use a int is not a class, right? Int is not a class. So that's why int is not castable to the object type. So that's why for the primitive types, Java has given us the wrapper classes so that those are directly castable to the object class. So I have created an integer value which is having 5 elements. Then I call the reverse. I want this array to be reversed, right? So how do I do it? I took a temporary object. So what is happening? This array, which is of integer type, it's getting casted to an object type array. It is getting casted to an object type array. Now what I'm doing, I'm finding out where is the middle, and I'm just doing a swapping. I'm taking the first object, swapping with the last object. So that's make my array reversed. And if I run this, you can see the array is getting reversed. Further, what I can do, why I say it's a generic, it could be used for different types. I can have double. So double is for small d double, right? Small d double is a primitive type, and its corresponding wrapper type, the corresponding class which is available in Java, is double. And again, why I use the wrapper classes, not the primitive type? The classes can be converted to the object classes, but primitive types cannot be directly converted to object class. So that is my idea. I take the primitive types, sorry, the wrapper classes. If I have a double, I can do the same thing. I keep the array name same so that I don't have to change everything, rest of the thing. And I can just declare my variables, say 1.1, 2.2, maybe 3.3, and try to run this. You can see it's getting reversed, right? But for this program, we do not have any problem if I use this class hierarchy kind of thing, like a object class, to make it generic, right? But can you tell me what kind of algorithm can have a problem if I have an object type over there? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, yes,
Sir,
sir.
your
Here you
question, sir? Once more.
Yeah, I'm asking, for this particular reverse, it's just doing a copy of the object from one place to another place. So we don't have any problem in such. It will work for all the data types, all the types. But can you specify any specific kind of situation this object class or accepting your data as an object can give you a problem?
Sir, if I
Strings,
If you
use a string type of data.
will it give a problem? Let us try with a string. Let me give a string IARR. Say I have some string. Okay. So does it work?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I want to show you the situation where you can have a trouble. Okay. So let me have a F class. Suppose instead of taking a reverse, I want to add my numbers, right? I want to add my numbers and give you the result. So I'm having a public static. I want to return my result as an object. Sorry, it's a capital O. Or I can print the result itself here. I want to do a sum, right? I'll have object ORR. Okay. So now question is, if I take, say, how do I add them, right? If I'm thinking, how do I add them? I can take an object because I do not know what kind of value will come, right? And I do it like a for int I equal to 0, I less than OARR dot length I plus plus, and whatever the object I have it, I'll have class equal to OARR. And once it is done, I want to say system dot print. I want to print s. But you can see immediately I don't have to write the entire program. It is showing an error. Can you tell me why?
So you have to ORF I you shouldn't write.
Yeah, or I. Yeah, now.
Yes, sir. How do you means Java will know what kind of thing I want to add.
Yeah, I can pass anything. No, if I pass the integer array, it can be added, no problem. But who will guarantee if I pass a string, how it will react? If I pass a employee class object, how it will react? If I have an array of employee, so class operator is not defined for two employee objects, right? So how the addition will happen, right? So that's how. Until and unless use very much specifically tells, like, or in another way, you are saying, you can say what is the type information associated with your array, that's it's getting lost because you're converting into an object, right? So you are on an employee class. So for employee class, you are having certain specifications, certain capabilities. So whenever you are having an employee class object or a string class object, you know what are the capabilities. But as soon as you pass it as an object class instance, so the particular class information or type information will be lost. So you do not know what is your capability. So your capability will be same as your object capability, right? Does it make sense? See, specific class having specific capabilities, functionalities, right? But the point I'll cast it to the object class, its capability will be limited to the object class capability. So I won't get its original capabilities, right? So that's basically the problem whenever I have this kind of situation, casting the thing to object class type. And second thing, it always go on this casting, like whenever I'll pass it as an object, then there will be a implicit casting, your integer type or double type to a object type. And again, suppose any functions inside your class again returns, it will return an object that has to be again explicitly has to be casted to a specific type, right? So a lot of casting also this is required over here. So let us have try to detect some more problem inside this kind of program. Suppose this is just a few lines I have written. The implementation I have in a different way afterwards. So now I want to create a generic linked list. The simple way I thought of, inside the node, whatever the information I'll store, those will be the object type info. All the information I'll store inside the node, they will be of object type, right? Now, what could be my problem? Getting my point, no? If my information part of a node, you know linked list, right, everyone?
Yes.
I'm not sure because PDSA, I don't know everyone done or not.
Yes, sir. We know linked list, sir.
Okay, so there is the information part, no?
Yeah.
If that information part is object type, can I use the particular linked list for different data types?
Yes, you can.
Because anything can be converted to an object type, no?
Yes,
But
sir.
if I take that approach, what could be my difficulty? Say I insert, first I say insert a integer, then I say insert a char, next I say insert a string, right? My linked list will become heterogeneous, right? My
Yeah.
list will become heterogeneous. That's first the problem. Now, whenever I'm extracting the data, suppose I want to do a particular operation on my data. Now, everything will be extracted as an object because as soon as I insert inside my node, the data inside my node, it becomes the object. Now, the original type identity is lost. Now, whenever I'm extracting my data, how do I know which is integer, which is char, which is string?
Yeah, we won't be knowing, sir. We would
You
get
won't be
everything
knowing
as
that's
object.
lost. Everything
Yeah.
lost, right? So any specific operation that I have to do on my elements, that I cannot do actually, right? So that's the problematic part if you have a heterogeneous kind of data structure created over here. So that's, we look for some kind of solution. Still I'm telling you what could be the problem if you go for an object type. This is a searching algorithm. I want to make it generic. Array I have created object type, and the key I want to search, that I have also made object type. So this O is a key and this is your array. So what I can do, I can create a searching algorithm for characters. I can use a searching algorithm for integer, searching algorithm even for employees, right? That's my idea is. But what could be the difficulty?
Again, same kind of difficulties,
Can you tell?
because all the information, suppose is there is some information of the salary part of
Specific
the
to this algorithm, specific to this algorithm, any problem, such a problem coming? Because here most probably we cannot have a heterogeneous array. Yeah, I can pass an object array, like I can create an object array which will have different data, but as soon as I'll create a array which is a fixed type, I don't have that problem. So what could
here
be the
I think, sir, one problem that we may face,
Yeah.
since this key part is the number
Hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. Once it is converted into the object type,
Hmm.
then say I want to access the fourth element of the key. There we may face some difficulties, since that now after converting it to a object type, it
Okay.
is
Yeah, you came to the came close to it, but can you tell me, this is comparing, this equality comparing two objects. Now, how this equality operation implemented for an object type? You have done this. Can you
Yeah, they
remember?
compare the locations or reference.
Can you just think further? There is any overriding method which,
overriding method is there,
Yeah.
sir.
which one?
That dot equals.
Dot equals, exactly. So by default, it do check for the reference matching, like the address matching, not address matching, hash code matching, we should say. But if you implement the equals, so equals, how you implement inside the equal, that's basically the way the thing will happen. Now the question is, for integer, float, double, for all this type of variables, whenever it is checking the equality, it's basically using the equality which is defined for the object class, right? How the equality is defined for the object class? Because whenever I call this equals, it compare what? It compare two objects. It is not comparing two integers. It is not comparing two double. It is not comparing two characters. It is comparing two objects, right?
Yeah.
Now suppose you create an employee class and you want to do the equality between two employee objects. Does it work?
No.
Because in your employee class, you will be implementing or overriding the equals in a different way, right? It may not be just checking the references. Maybe you want to say that if employee ID is same for both the objects, then they are equal classes, right?
Mm.
But as soon as they are converted, both the employee objects are converted to an object type, so they will call the default implementation which is done on the object class, right? So if I have customized the comparison between two employee object or equals method inside the employee class, that won't be called, no? Because you are calling on behalf of object class. It will be called from the object class itself.
Correct.
Everyone getting the concepts? This is the problem. You need to understand the problem so that we'll go for the solution. If you're not clear about the problems, it's very difficult to understand why I'm using this. Do you want me to repeat this?
Yes, sir.
See, equality, this equal to operation, right? This comparing between two objects. Between two objects. What is the type of the objects?
Here it is integer, like, or
Is
object.
it so? Is it so? What is data type of O?
Object, sir.
It is object. What is data type of OBJARR of I?
It's also an object.
It is also an object, right? So whenever I do the equality, from where the equals function will be called?
Yeah, from the object.
From the object class, the default what is equals already implemented, that compare between the base address, that will be called?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Now try to understand. Suppose here I am having employee class. Here also I am having employee class. And employee class, what I have done, I have implemented this equals. I want to mean how two employees could be compared, that I have written. Like if the employee ID is same, I'll say they are the same employee, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now suppose the key also employee. Here I sent this is a employee. This is a employee, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now you want this comparison has to be done as I have written in the employee class.
Yes, sir.
But will it happen like that?
No.
Right. So this is okay. Now see, I'm having two classes, a ticket class and e-ticket class, right? A ticket class and a e-ticket class. Now, what I want to do, I want to copy, right? A certain source to a destination. So all the elements from the source array will be copied into the target array or the destination array. To the target array or the destination array. Now, can I do the copy between any kinds of object? Does my dynamic method dispatcher really allow this? Means, suppose source is a integer, destination is a character, anything I can pass as an object?
No, no.
No, right? So in this case, it is possible. Why it is possible? Anyone can tell me?
Because both are object class, object type.
No, no. What
Yeah.
that is, I'm not telling. I'm saying, suppose here I take a integer array, here I'm taking a character array. Does it works?
No, sir.
No. Because I cannot assign anything to anything, right? We need to fulfill the dynamic method dispatcher.
Yeah.
So our reference can refer to its own type or
Its parent.
or its child type.
Child
Parent type
type.
it cannot do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sir, 1 minute, sir, just one small confusion, because you are taking the integer and the other part inside that object src and target.
Yeah.
When you are taking this here from integer or string, whatever may be the data type, when you are taking those things as a src and tgt, both get converted to the object type.
Yeah. Your
Since-
references are object type, but objects.
Oh, okay, okay, yes, 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 yes. Okay, okay.
Right, objects are also still remain the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's a problem. So here, if you look at your source is e-ticket and target is a ticket, and e-ticket is a child class of ticket. So child is copied to a parent. That's not a problem. But if I just reverse it, it won't work, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Even they're unrelated also, it won't work, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're not extends, right?
Yeah.
It won't work. So we need to put certain restriction. Object doesn't work over here. I feel I told something wrong which you make confused. You can try it afterwards sometime. Equality, I think if you take an employee class, it will call from the employee only. You need to just check it once, right? Because internal object type is remaining the same. It's a employee type, no? If I pass a employee type, but the problem will happen if I pass it as an employee type, here I pass it as a integer type, then the problem will happen, the classes won't match, right? That will be the problem. Getting my point, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If there are different
Yeah.
objects, then it would
Yeah.
be a problem. If
It
it
will
is
be a
of the
problem.
same
But
object,
otherwise, internally they are all employee type, no? So it will
yeah,
call the equals from the employee
automatically
only.
it will go dot
Yeah,
equals
yeah,
of the
yeah.
employee.
Yeah, sorry for that. Okay. Now, how
Sir, just
actually,
one
yeah.
small thing, sir. Sir, go above, sir. As you said, na, ki if these two different type, if these two are not same type, then
Yeah.
I have a problem. Then suppose I want to store the salary of each employee. Now, the name of the employee is string type and the salary is in integer type. Then I can't do it.
No, you have to understand. Suppose if I call this, how your equals will be called? Your equals is going to call it as a obj array of I dot equals O, right? This is the simple call.
No, I'm not talking about equal. Suppose I want to assign it instead of equal. Can't I assign one side string, other side another side
No, where you are
integer?
assigning it in this program?
No, not in this program. I'm
Then which one?
saying,
Huh?
I'm saying instead of equal, suppose I want to assign. I will call that array and
Assign won't be a
assign
problem if
all
they're of
the
the same type. No, if they're of the same type, I don't have a problem.
even those if they do
Why
not
will be
have
a
the same
problem?
type.
If I do have a obj, then it could be a problem. Yeah. See, if you try to say that this is equal to O, so what is the problem if this O and this are passed as the same type? If both are integer, I don't have a problem. I need in this position, ith position of this array, this particular value 30 will be stored. That's all, right?
Yes.
But the problem will arise, suppose this key is of a different type, right? It's a character type. Array is an integer type actually, and character you are assigning. That may be a problematic, right?
Achha, achha. Okay.
Okay, so now we are going for a generic way of doing this. So this is called a type parameter in a Java generic type. So generic concept in Java came afterwards, after the release of the actual these things. So they have implemented generics because all the modern programming language now having the generic, and that's why as it is adds on the rest of the feature which Java already had. It's having certain limitations also. We'll discuss that afterwards. But this is how do I do it. So the generic type concept is something like that. So it's called a type instantiation. The moment I say my array is integer and reverse is called with an integer array, it means this t will become an integer. The parameter t takes a type integer. Like we can pass a value, right? We have seen all passing a value. It's nothing but passing a parameter. So I'm calling the reverse function. So your value is I array, right? Which will be passed over here. But what will be the type of this function? The type of the type parameter of the function, the type of this array. So what is the type of this array? It's basically the integers. It will be taken as an integer. Now, the rest of the program we need to read everywhere I am having a t, I have to read it as an integer, right? So that solved my problem. Since I'm fixing everything to an integer, I don't have a problem of heterogeneous array creation or not knowing specifically which specific array type it is, right? So we're not generalizing it to an object type and losing my own properties. Rather, integer is treated as an integer type only, right? So that's why I can still access what are the capabilities of the integer inside this function. Is it okay?
So repeat once more.
Again, I'm repeating. See, like I can pass a parameter inside a function, a value as a parameter, right? So whenever I'm passing this reverse function with this array, this goes into this, right? So I'm passing a value. The value is nothing but an array, right? But
Mhm.
generic type defines a parameter type. Means I can pass a data type as a parameter. So as soon as I pass this is as a parameter, the data type of I array becomes my parameter type. So what is the parameter type? Is the type of I array. What is the array of type of I array? Integer. So what is t? T will accept integer. So
Oh.
that's why everywhere in my program, in my function, I use a t. I need to assume it's an integer, right? I have to assume that's an integer, and my program will be compiled in that way, assuming for every call this is an integer,
Okay.
right? So this is a very type safe way to do my program. See, it's working all okay. I'm having, so I'll go for the issues like where I had problem previously. This we didn't have any problem, but this is I'm just showing okay, how we can do it. Right, so this is getting reversed. Okay, I'll show another problem. This is my searching time. I'm enforcing that my array type and the element I want to search will be of the same type. Do you get it? How I'm doing that? I'm
Yes, sir.
enforcing my array type and the object type, the key type has to be same. So when I had this as an object data type, here also I had an object data type. I may have passed several different things, right? But I am saying now you can pass different type, but you have to make sure this array type and the object type, sorry, the key type must be same. So that's why I'm having integer array and key is also integer type. And I call for the find. I pass the both integer types. So it automatically instantiate with the type as an integer. So that's why this object array also integer. This is also an integer, right? So rest of everything will be taken as an integer. So same thing I can implement for a string. Suppose I take a string. I don't change much. Then again I have to write a lot of code. So and suppose I want to search for a string, a key, that's a CCC, right? So the same algorithm works, right? Now I make it as an integer. So you can see the compiler error, it's coming, right? Cannot convert string to an integer. So it's an instantiation problem. So since this parameter type got instantiated with a string type, it is saying this has to be also a string, correct? So this is much more type safe way to do your programming. Isn't so?
Yes.
Sure, no, everyone?
Sir,
Sir,
I have one question, sir.
Mhm.
In the earlier one, where
Yeah.
you have both are integer, the array is integer and also key is integer.
Hmm.
So, but you are searching basically the one of the element in this
Yeah.
list
Yeah.
whole array. But
Hmm.
instead of searching that element, if I want to find the index, so I will want to pass the index and want to get the what element is there in this index. That
In
also I
that
can
case,
able to do it.
no. If you want to pass an index, index is always a fixed, no? It is always a int type.
Uh,
Index cannot be anything other than int, right? So why
yes,
you want to
index
make
is
generic?
no, not generic. My array is generic,
Huh?
and
You keep as it is, the program as it is, you make this is as int, done, no? So you need to do what? You need to just return the obj arr of position O, done, right? You can do additionally what? You can put some checking that that position is relevant to your array or not. Otherwise, this much. This is showing an array error because I have to say the return type is now t. Because I'm returning an element, right? Which will be string now.
hmm.
Do you want me to write it?
If you can, sir,
Yeah,
then
I'll do it soon.
sir, one more question I have, sir.
Hmm.
Why all these methods are static, sir? They are. Is this something
It's not necessary to be static. Just I'm
static?
showing you.
No,
See?
you mentioned all the two methods.
I have done it static. It's
Yeah,
required
okay.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
Say I don't make it non-static. So how my code will be changed over here? Non-static method means it has to be called with an object, right? It has to be
Yeah.
called with an object. So how I have to write my code? I have to create app class, say obj equal to new app class, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll say obj dot find. Yeah, this is non-static, but I don't want to write these extra lines.
Right.
So that's
So
why I'm
you
making
made
it a
it
static.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Static means you can call it without any object, right? It's a class method.
I get it.
Okay, so you want to find out the element of our index, given index. Okay, so please help me to do this. I'm having a class. I'm writing app class because in my Eclipse editor I have set the default name as this thing, but you can use any name. Don't be confused with that. So I want to make a generic array. So I take it as a T. T is the parameter type. Now I want to return an element, right, of that array. So what should be my return type?
return type should be T.
Return type should be T. If my array is of type T, return type also should be T, right?
Yes.
Okay. I say I name it as a val at, the value at, and I pass my array which is of T type. I just write arr, and I want to find out the value at position I. Index I is always an integer. So how do I do this? So I'm not checking it is beyond the array or something, right? I'm just returning the value. That is also could be done. You can give it is in the length. I value is within the array dot length, right? You can do that, right?
Hmm.
Or shall I do it? Okay, let me do it. I'm doing it like if I is less than, what is the array name? Arr dot length, and I is greater or equal to 0, right? Then return arr of I. Done. Why it is giving a line? What it is saying? Oh, there must be a else path, no? Return null. I told if it is if, then to return what? I didn't mention if is not satisfied, what it will return, no? That's why it was giving the error. So I'll have a public static void main string Yes. Okay. So suppose I take a string type array. You see, I'll have the elements like A, B, C, P, and system.out.println or print. What I want to print? I want to print val at. Okay, val at, if I want to call directly, again the same thing, I need to make it as a static, otherwise I have to create an object, right? So I want to return the value of position 1. Val at position 1.
But sir,
Yeah.
so Bhalat will call for
array,
two
sir.
things, na? Array and
Oh, sorry.
parameters.
That's why it is showing the error, right? I need to pass the array. I missed it.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so let us go further. Okay, so there is a very important concept. Please learn this. See, if two classes are there, say I'm having B is inherited by B. A is inherited by B. So we say A or B are compatible, right? Because I can cast B to A. I can do typecast B to A, and explicitly I can cast A to B also, right? If I have a situation where B class inherits the class A, then the typecasting between the object of A and B are permissible, right? We have done that.
Yes.
Okay. But remember, what is the problem with a generic? Suppose I am having a linked list, a generic linked list I have created, or list, simple way. I have a list of type A or an array of generic type of array and list of type B. They are not compatible. Although A and B are compatible, but whenever they are passed as a generic parameter, they are not become compatible. So these two types are not compatible, right? So they are basically called as an non-covariant types. So here we are given an example. It is saying linked list of string is not compatible with linked list of object. Although a string is compatible with the object, right? So if the parameters are compatible, that doesn't mean the generic type also will be compatible. That's a very important point where we make a lot of mistakes. Now we'll go this situation. So here this program, what we have seen, we are having a source class, we are having a destination class. So want to copy from the data from the source class or the object from the source class into the target array, right? And we know, as per our dynamic method dispatcher, right hand side should be of the same type or of the child type. Should be of the same type or of the child type, right? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. So my generic parameters or the type parameters enabled me to give certain constraints on the type I can pass. So this could be done wonderfully because previously I made both the arrays of object type. So I can pass anything. I can pass two arrays which are completely unrelated of class type, right? So at the runtime, definitely this will give me a problem. But how do I restrict it? So generic programming can restrict that. What I do, I say T is the target type. But source, whenever I'm declaring as a type, I say source is what? Source is something which will extend the T type, which is the target type, which is the target type. So I put an additional constraint that the source type has to be a child type of target type. Source type has to be a child type of target type. Did you get it? Hello.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
So I'll show you a simple program. This kind of lot many programs are there inside your practice and activity assignments based on this theory. So this is not a complete program, so I'm not running this because you can see whatever the array I have created, these are the array of the references. I never created an object, so it won't give you the proper result, right? So I have created 10 elements, but all are the reference type, no? So how do I create my object? I need to create ARR of 0th position. I'll create a new, then I'll have to call it e ticket, then I have to call the constructor. Then I'll say the reference, 0th reference will point to my e-ticket object, this one. But if I just create an array, that means I'm just creating a 10 references. I'm not created the object. For creation of the object, it is mandatory to have the constructor. Otherwise, you're not creating an object, you're just creating the reference. So this just create 10 references, right? Which are basically pointing to null objects. Null. They're not basically pointing to any solid object, right? Which is created. Okay, let me do something which will be much understandable. To putting a constraint on your particular generic. Okay, so I want to have a function which will add the numbers, right? Add some numbers. Okay, so I write it as a public static. Say numbers are added means all the numbers could be added like a double value, right? So suppose I give it as a result as a double, the return type, or I can say it's a generic type also, that's a different case. Now it's a double, and the method is sum. I want to pass a generic type, I say it's a array. So this is I have to add, and I need to define my t, no, the type parameter t. So I say it's a t. I say it's a t. Okay. So how do I add it? So I'll have a double d equal to 0.0. I say for int I equal to 0, I less than ARR dot length I plus plus. Now d plus equal to ARR of ith element dot double value. Double value can convert the numbers into a double type. Okay, but it's showing an error. Can anybody can tell me why this error is shown?
So double value you haven't defined anywhere.
See, t can be anything, right? T can be an employee, t can be an integer, t can be a string, t can be a student, t can be anything. But who guarantees that whatever the t is, that's having this method defined inside that? Nobody told us, no? It can be anything. Who will guarantee that the double value is there inside that function? Nobody told us. Right. So if you go to the first slides, just I'm showing this, you need to, oh, sorry, not this one. Yeah, this one, last slide. This will be useful for doing this, solving this problem. So this is some concept about wrapper type. Just look at the boxes and the last point. So what are the wrapper types you have? The class type for the primitive type. For bytes, you are having capital B bytes, short for capital S, short, int, integer, long, long, float, float, double, double, boolean, boolean, char, character. Now, This point is very important. All the wrapper classes other than Boolean and character extend the class number. Right. All other classes other than Boolean and character can be converted, extend the class number. Now, whenever I was writing the program, I told that the double value function is applicable, the double value function is applicable for the number types. So what you can understand, if I can restrict this type T to be a number type, then my problem is solved. So how I can restrict that this T could be either a double or a short or a integer or a long or a double or a float, not Boolean or char or any other thing.
Then,
yeah.
Okay.
Getting my point? See, this double value works for the number types, right? So that's how I need to restrict the T, which will be any child of the number, right? Not any arbitrary thing. So how do I restrict it?
I will extend that as a number.
Yeah, I'll just write extends number, right? Now see, this error has gone. Now just what I need to do, I need to return the D. Do you have another class after this?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Sir, what will this double value function do?
It converts the value to a double value.
Okay.
Double data type. Suppose I have a double array D here. I'm having some value here. And I want to call system dot out dot print ln, and what I want to do, I want to call the function sum and I pass tar. It's working, right? But instead of a double array, suppose you want to give a character, what I have done, yeah, car, just mentioning them as a B, C. My compiler will restrict. You can see already it has marked it. So it say, sorry, it's a C, no? It say the sum method in the type ape class not applicable for the argument type character, because character do not inherit the number. So that's why the T can take any parameter which are inheriting the number type. That's all, right? So we can restrict it. In case of object, passing as an object, I may have passed anything, but here I'm restricting my user and putting the type checking enforced over here, that he cannot pass any type arbitrarily, right? Only the fixed type can be passed into my function. Is it okay? It's a generic, but still you are restricting that you have to be within these types, right? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Yes. Okay. So I'll go next. I think you have done interface, right? So suppose I have a interface employable, right? So I want to mean what anybody inherits the employable means he can become an employee and he's having certain salary. Okay. So I just make it like double get salary. Okay. Now I'll have a class, say manager, who implements this employable. I'm not defining it right now. Okay, I have to define this at least something, right? Public double get salary. So I just give something arbitrarily, say value 10. Why it's giving an error? Oh, sorry, return spelling. Okay. And you have another class, say any stuff, office stuff. Say, want to give something like this. Okay. So I'm not writing the entire program. I'm just showing you some example. So you want to write a class, function over here, a public static void function, say function f, a function f, right? So what function f will do? Function f has to do some operation with either manager type or staff type. So how do you pass your argument? Again, I'm saying the function f can take either a manager type or staff type. How do you mention that? Did you get my question? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How do I restrict that within my function I'll pass a object, but that object will be either the manager type or staff type? You don't have to go for generic, it's a general kind of question.
I will implement both.
Implement both in the sense?
No, no, no.
I just want the parameter type. What will be the parameter type so that I can pass either this manager type or staff type?
I can use employee type.
I can just do it is the employable type.
Employable.
Yeah, done. If you do employable, then you can pass a object of manager and you can also pass the object of staff, isn't it? Right? Okay. Now, how do I write the same thing using generic? If I want to make it type T, so this is one way. What I want to do, I want to make it as a generic type. Means I want to make it T. Now, how do I declare T?
T extends employment.
Yes. T extends static will come first because this is the static. After static, you have to declare this here. Right? So these do the exactly same thing. But I'm not showing today, but remember this is much more powerful than passing the employable.
So what is the problem if I write this static after this?
It's just a syntactical thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, the angular brackets are used to define input types, is it?
Parameter type.
Parameter types.
You're
Yes.
passing the data type as a parameter, right? So how do you, this is a placeholder kind of thing. So inside T, you say it is an integer. So whenever you use a T, that will be replaced by integer. So in this case, if you pass a manager type, T will become manager. So within the function, whenever you write a T, that becomes a manager.
Okay, right. It's just another way of writing the same thing that you had written before. Okay.
Okay, so I have a iterator. We have all done iterator, no? We are having the function has next, get next. So has next will say, do I have a next element inside my array or not? Or whatever the data structure may be. And get next return me the particular element. So here I am creating a class called as a data list. I want the class will be generic itself. So for class, the type parameter has to be passed in this way. See, this is a bit different. So in case of function, we write it before the return type. And for the class, I write it after the class name, right? So my data list internally having an array, which is T type array. So if I pass T as an integer, it will become an integer array. If I say string, it will become a string type array. Now, whatever the array I pass, that will be copied into T array, right? Then print list do what? It basically print the entire array what I'm passing. Right? So the simple way, if I don't want to go so much details up to this, I took an integer array, then I say my data list and the type I'm passing as an integer. The moment I do this, only this part, see the declaration, here T will become a integer, T will become an integer, here T will become an integer, here also T will become an integer, here also T will become an integer. Okay. Now what I'm doing, whatever the array AI, IA, I'm passing it as an argument, so it goes into the constructor T, so which will be copied into this T array, which will be copied into this T array. Next, I do list.print list. So this is the print list function, so which will print each element of the array. If I simply do this, it will show each of the element. That's a very simple way. I can pass any kind of class inside it and that will do. Now, what I want there is some way I'll be traversing this array, but elements will be available outside of the class. Right. So a very classical way to do that, use a iterator. I'll be able to traverse to my elements which are stored into my things. So I've created a private class over here, which which implements this iterator. Then what I do, if I call the get iterator function, it creates an object and pass it, return a iterator object to me, so that I can call this has next, get next function. So I'm having an index I, my constructor initializes with -1. Now has next, I'm checking is it beyond the array length. If it is there, if it is within the length, then I say true, otherwise I return a false. And if I say get next, I increment the index and return the next element. So that is my idea. So what I want to do here, the same thing, I'm having a show function. Now here I need to mention that so show function, what I want to do, I want to pass my list inside a show argument. You have to understand this show function also will be a generic function because data list could be of different type, right? In this case, it is of integer type, but it could be of any type. So if I want to say it's a generic type, a type T, right? Then this T has to be declared, right? Somewhere. So what I can do, I can have a T over here, right? I can declare the T over here. So this is the placeholder T for my function and this is the T I am using. So as soon as I pass my list, it comes to know this is nothing but This placeholder is nothing but it will be an integer and it will be replacing the t with an integer, and my iterator will work accordingly, right? Up to this, is it okay?
Sir, can you explain again? I'm not able to understand. Why did we not run a for loop and just display the various elements as public? Why?
See,
Mhm.
here it is private, no? If I want to display it, the print function or the show function has to be an internal function, right? But if I
Right.
want to write the show function outside of the class, I cannot directly access the elements of my array, right?
Sir, why do you want to write the show function outside?
Because I can do different kind of operation on my elements, no? See, you are having a list. You are having a list of integer, right? It's given to you. So depends on what you want. You maybe want to add them. You maybe want to take a average of them. You do not know what kind of operation you want, right? So you want to implement a operation on that entire list, right? So somehow you have to access the element. I have written it show because I want to just display them. Because if you can display them, you will have a capability to do any operation with them, right? You can write a add function over here also, right? Which will add all the elements of the list.
Yes, sir.
Right. It is, I have written show just because if you can show it, then you can do any other operation. Okay, up to this, is it okay? Now, why this t is added? Because this function also generic. I do not know the data list is implemented for what, right? I do not know the data list is implemented for what. Okay, let me go simple. Can you tell me how do I add it? Okay, adding means I have to do put much more restriction. So this is probably the last program we are doing. We're going more complex things now. Yeah. The thing is, see, my data list itself is a generic, so it has to be generic. Has to be declared as a generic function only, no? So as soon as you will pass the list, you know list will be of integer type, right? So the t will become an integer over here, and accordingly the operation will be done. So is, see, if you understand this t, most of the thing is clear. Do you get it? Hello.
Sir, what do you mean by generic type?
See, this data list, whatever I'm passing, it could be a data list of character also, right? Data list of
Yes.
double also, data list of employee also.
Yes.
So I want to write a show function which will work for all kinds of data lists, right?
Okay.
So that's why data list I know, but what should be the parameter of the data list? Type parameter. That has to be generic, right?
Right.
That's why I declare t. I said t could be of any kind.
Okay. So, sir, what difference does it make? I don't understand. So even if t had different things, this function would work just fine without the generic type also, right? Or
How
will
it
it
will
not
work?
work?
See, suppose I create another array
Right.
which is of double type.
Okay.
Now, I have to give it double. I make it list 1. I have to make it double. I have to make it as a DA. Now I'm passing list of 1.
Sir, so here you are
Now it has to,
creating
yeah, it has to,
a. So what is the data? Is data list a function?
data list is the class name, no? I've created here.
Okay, right. Okay, it iterates through. Okay, got it.
Now see, if I don't give this t, how it will become generic? Because list one, if you do, it is working for double type, right? If I do list, then it is working for integer type.
Right, okay.
Then in that case, I need to create two separate functions, right? Okay, now we
Yes.
come to a very important part of it. That is, say this very carefully. Do we need this type t anyway inside these functions? Because never we have used this t inside the function, right? Here we need t, the placeholder t or the parameter t, because we are using t several times, right? We are having the t used several times. But here, t is not used. I have just declared the t in sake of making it generic. So we may avoid this. So basically Java has something as a wildcard that say, just delete this. I'm not deleting this. I'm keeping it as it is. I'm just writing another line so that I can share this program with you afterwards. I'll just delete this. And I just give a question mark. This question mark is called wildcard. It's a unbound type. Unbound type means you can pass any type, which says you can pass any type. So I'm not specifying it is t or any particular placeholder. I'm just saying you can pass anything. I don't mind. Right. So this calls a wildcard. So when the data type or the type parameter or generic type parameter, whatever you are creating, it is not going to be used. There's no point to declare it. Here I have to declare it because I'm going to use the type inside my program, inside my class. In previous example also, if you look at, if I took a t, somewhere inside my program I may have used it, right? But if you really don't need it, inside my function entirely never I am going to use my generic type t. So why to declare it? Just write a question mark. Question mark means it will accept anything. It will accept anything. So if I just run this, it is printing my values. Now just last thing we'll do, please help me to do this. I want to add a sum function along with this. I want to implement a sum. I'll just write a sum for any number type. I'll have a static. Suppose I want to return it as a double, just what we have done previously. I write it as a sum. I'll pass the data list. I want to add the elements of the thing. Sorry, data list. I'll pass the list. And what I do, for the time being, I'm not looking for the correctness. I'm writing the algo of my program 0.0. I'll go for integer I equal to 0, I less than. Do I have any way to get the count? No, I have to do it through the iterator, right? So I say while instead of adding it, what I need to do, I have to add it with d. There are many problems with the program, but first tell me, if I want to implement sum, does this data list could be anything, or this t can be anything?
Not anything. We need to.
It has to extend,
number.
right? Extends number. That's the first thing. It has to extend number. That's the first thing I do. If my data list extends numbers, if I write a t over here, then here also I need to write t extends number, because in this case also, for some function also, t must be something which will be of number type, otherwise I cannot do it, right? Any other thing I have to do? See, get next returns an object. right? But for object, I do not have the double value function. So what I need to do, I need to cast it to a number type. After casting it to a number type, now I can add double value function. Now is it okay? Why it is giving an error? Okay, return. Is it okay? See, it.getNext give you a object. Object that do not have this double value function, right? So that's why I have to cast it to the number type. And I can cast it to a number type surely, it's guaranteed, because T is a child class of number, right? So it is guaranteed I will be able to cast it to a number. Anyone?
So instead of T, can I use the wildcard there?
Yeah, wildcard I'll go for. Yeah, I'll go for wildcard. So let us see in this way. What is the error? Some error I got. Show data list double undefined.
So there is a list and list one.
That's fine. But it will be some other problem. One minute. Let me check out. What it is telling that the method show is undefined for the class type if class.
Sir, I think you have commented the show function. That's why it is showing this error.
No, here I have written no show function. Oh, I have written some. No.
Some function.
Yeah, it is some now. Yeah, sorry. I'm still searching for show. Yeah. Yeah, it's working. Now the simple way how I can avoid this, because I'm not going to use key inside my function. I can just write it as a wildcard. You just write a question mark, extends number, done. Right, it will do the same thing. You can pass anything which extends number. You can pass anything. Just remember, in discussion many times we'll be using this term. If I just write a question mark or a T or a question mark, it's called the unbounded type. Unbounded type means it could be anything, right? But if I write a extends number or anything, or this is not question mark or T, then I'll call it as a bounded type. Bounded type where the upper bound is number. Where the upper bound is number, right? There is another keyword which we won't be learning over here, just for information. There is a super. That means any class which is parent class of the number. Any class which is a parent class of a number. You have to pass a class which is parent class of a number, right? So this is also bounded type, but here the lower bound is the number. Here is the lower bound is the number. So if I give extend or super, then I put a bound, either the upper bound or lower bound. Extend means you are putting a upper bound, means number or any child type of number. A number or any child of a number. If you give a super, that means number or any parent type of a number. So lower bound is a number now. But if you don't give extend or super, that means it is unbounded type. It could be anything. So now I think it's right time to stop this thing.
So this super part, when super, then number is the lower bound, right?
Any parent of this.
That means then how can I ensure I am able to do all the function that I am able to
Yeah,
do.
that's not. This is a very typical situation. I don't think I'll discuss today at all. Maybe after some time. It's not there in your syllabus itself. Only you need to know there is a super keyword and what does it means. But if I get time afterwards, I'll discuss that. But today I think a lot of this thing we have done. I think Nalini want to discuss a bit of AQ. The AQ discussion will have, if you discuss that, you'll have more clarity about what we have discussed today. So we are left with two topics still. One is eraser. Eraser is simple thing, and reflect. So that too next day we'll do. But today let us end with a few discussion on AQ. Nalini, is it okay?
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I will do AQ part now. Yeah. Just a minute. I will share my screen.
Next class means it will be the next week.
Yeah. Next class will be revision.
Next class is Saturday. We have one live session, no, sir?
But Saturday is the only revision.
That will be the revision, no?
Okay.
That will be the revision for the quiz one, right? You're having quiz one on Monday, Sunday, no?
Yes, but the syllabus is up to 4.
Yeah. We'll do a revision on that.
Then the balance part of this week 5 will be the next.
Yeah, next week.
Okay.
We'll see that how to manage it.
Okay. So these are like basic questions only, direct syntactical question. What is the syntax to declare the type parameter? So how we are declaring type parameter by enclosing this in angular brackets only, right? Not any like curly or any other braces. So it should be in angular brackets. Type parameter should be in angular brackets. Which of the following type parameters are valid? So the thing is, so you can generally uppercase letters are used to denote the type parameters, but sometimes it doesn't make much sense, no? So generally you can use like key or value, any name. You can use any name, but it should follow the identifier rules. But here you can see transient and this transient thing. This is like keyword. This you will come to know about this transient keyword in the later weeks, but this is a keyword, so you cannot use this. And @ is a special symbol that cannot be used as an identifier. Identifier is that whatever the variable names which you use, that also comes under identifier. The class names, all these, like whatever names which you are using in your code, like method names, all these are identifiers. So the type parameter is also like the name which you can give to the name which you can use for the type parameter. So for these identifiers you cannot use this keywords, and also some special characters also you cannot use. So that's why these two are incorrect and the remaining are correct. Okay, you can stop me at any point of time if anyone has doubt.
If I if I add one more, say @T, will it be accepted?
No, @ is a special character. No, so you are telling @T, that is a special character. So this cannot be like identifier. So there are some rules for identifier. You can check those rules, identifier rules for Java. So while you are declaring variable, or while you are declaring some class names, while you are using those the names as those names as your class names, you can check your identifier rules and then you can define. So there are something called identifier rules. You can check these rules and you can, it will be helpful for you also, like while defining class and variables, like variables and also class names and also method names. You should follow this identifier rules. Okay. Yeah, I think should I zoom? Which of the following type declarations are invalid based on the class definition given below? So which of the following type declarations are invalid? So I think integer and string are valid, but int and float are primitive data types. That means they are scalars. They are not of reference type. They are not of reference type. So those are invalid, but this integer, and as strings are like of reference types of object type. So these are like valid for type parameters declaration. Okay, any confusion here? No, right? The question is about are invalid, so these are invalid, that's why this is correct. Consider the Java code given below and choose the correct option. So yeah, so we have integer array ARR1, and we have string array ARR2, and yeah, now you have show object. This is show class, and you are creating the object of show by using the same show or whichever equal to new show. You are not using any type parameter here because your class does not have any type parameter here. So you are not writing here as show of s comma t. You are not saying in your class, like you are not defining your class with the type parameters. So you are just creating an object as your normal class, and then you are calling your display method by passing ARR1 and ARR2, that is integer and string. So is this valid? Like the question is like about like what is the output or what this code will generate, whether it generates some compiler error or will it give some output. Will anyone want to answer this? Hello.
Yes. So integer is ARR1.
So you can say directly in statements. You don't need to tell the explicit output. You can stay in like you can tell implicitly it will give this as output, something like that.
Second one, I think, give the output.
Okay, you are thinking the seconds. This one.
Yeah.
This one will give output. This one, what will this will do?
Array2, which is a string. So this.
So one thing. Here, what does this S and T here can be? What all the possible things can S and T can take? What S can take and what T can take?
S can take this string as an element array.
Okay. You are telling S as string and T?
T is the integer type array.
Okay, why? Okay, why do you think generally S and T only takes string? S will take only string and T will take only integer. Is there any specific reason for that?
Because I am defining as a generic type, and when I am declaring the array2 as a string, so it will take that as a type. Okay,
you are here you are telling no. So as array AR1 is of type integer, so as okay, you for second one you are telling. Yeah, so you for second one it will be string, and for the first and AR1 is integer, so S will be string and here it will be integer, you are telling. Okay, that is fine. But for what about this one first thing?
First thing it is say array1. Array1, then it is not matching, na. I am passing the integer, but that is a string.
Okay, I will tell you are not getting it properly. Generally you have defined a generic method in your class show. That means here S and T are type parameters. That means you can give anything. So you are not bounding it. You are not telling that X extends number or X extends string or something. You are not telling. So that means they can be object. The only possible things are like you're not bounding it, you're not restricting it to take something, but you're telling this display method has two generic parameters S and T. It can be of anything, like that means it will be like object. Basically it will be the upper bound will be object only. So here this is an object and this is an and T is also object. right? So in the first case, you are telling obj1 dot display of arr1 comma arr2. So arr1 is of type integer. So here you are passing integer. Okay, you are expecting something to be you are expecting object, but you are getting string. Is that fine? Yeah, that is fine. No, you are expecting object and you are getting integer. That is fine, right? You can use subclass, right? So that's why this also will work. And in the second time, you are calling the same function, the same method display with string and integer, vice versa. Here s will be string and t will be integer. So both are like valid calls. Is there so both are valid calls. So first, in the first call, uh, so s will be what? In the first call, s will be integer and t will be string. So the so first s will be displayed. No, s means integers will be displayed followed by strings. And in the second call, you are calling first, you are passing first integer, you are calling first, you are passing first strings and then integer. So first what s, that means integers will be displayed and then strings will be displayed as output. So that means for the order, you should check the order. That's all.
Since I have not bounded that thing within number and string, that is why both is working.
Yeah, you are not bounded. That means you can give yeah, that means that the you can pass anything. Either you can give string or integer or some employee or something, anything, any class, or the student or anything. Okay, you can give anything as the argument because they are unbounded. You are just displaying elements, you know. While displaying, you also you are saying, okay, you have seen this, no, enhanced for loop. Here you are s, whatever, wherever s is there, it will be like after the in the compile, during the compile time, it will be like integer here in the first call, and it will be string in the second call for s. That's why everything works properly. Okay, okay, you can ask if something is unclear here, or else we can move to next question.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, which of the following are advantages of generics in Java? So we have already, Arup sir has already shown, no, here if we use this generics, we need what we like, there is no explicit casting is required. Okay, if we use object, then we need to do explicit casting, no, because the object might not have all the things which we, so if we try to add something, okay, not add, if we try to call some method in your class which is not there, like if the string will have this length method, no, but if you use, if your method is taking object, let's take some function that is taking object as parameter, but in the parameter in the object this, but if this method returns length, let's suppose this method returns length, if it is, if it you can say directly, if it is a string, you can say directly s dot length function. But it, as it is an object, you cannot say ob dot length because that is not there in your object class. So what you need to do is you need to explicitly cast this to string, and then you need to call the length method. So yeah, because of this only no explicit cast is required if we use type parameter like that Arup sir has already discussed, no, and provides type safety. So compiler before calling this method itself, the compiler will check whether both the types are compatible. Whatever we are doing is compatible with that generic by using the generics. So actually this was already explained by Arup sir, but if you have any doubt in these two options, you can ask here.
Yeah, I'm not getting that type safety. What does it exactly mean by type safety?
Okay. Okay, I think you all are familiar with Python list, you know. In the list you can store any objects like integers, strings, characters, anything in Python. But
yes,
if you use generics in Python list, let's take, if you are restricting your list to take only strings, okay, only strings, then that if you are using type parameter for that strings, then what it ensures is like if you are doing, if you are calling some method on your list, let's take some method like what are the common methods for the list, like Okay, if you say in the I am saying in the Python way, L of 0 dot length, if you are using some function, like we are assuming, okay, I should write some explicitly. I will do it properly. Okay. Okay, I'm doing without any declaration or any initialization here. You have a list here. Here it is a string hello, and here it is a number 1 2 something 3.3. This is your list. Okay, and what you are doing is you are saying L of okay, L of 1 dot length. Here actually it does not have length function, it does not have length thing, no, so it will give error. Okay, I think I should use other example here, but for better understanding, should we use some codes here? I think I should use here this code. Okay, let us assume the same code here. If you have used object, here also if you are using object instead of s and t, instead of type parameters, you have just object. Okay, here. So okay, then what so instead of this you are using object here. Here also okay, for displaying you are using object. Okay, so now you are calling the display method using the integer and string, and here it is taking as their object. It will definitely will take those things, but yeah, okay, instead of display, if you are doing some operation here, let's take like you are trying to add, okay, let's take like you are trying to combine with what you are trying to call some display method or some method here, like if there is one more method here, let us assume like within this class show method, that is sum of elements that perform sum of something, sum of this. So you are doing this here. So what as this is an object, okay, you are calling some explicit method. Will this work or will it not work? Actually, because as it is an object, you are calling
it will not work because the plus operator will give an error.
Yeah, plus operator will give an error. So I'm calling within the inside this println statement itself, element plus sum of something. Will that work?
Then no, this sum means it will can some function is defined anywhere.
No, I'm saying this sum function will be defined within this class, show class.
Then some function, when I try to add to object, means that object can be any type, na?
Yeah.
This plus will only operates on the integer and number types. But
yeah, but
I
for
am
strings
not,
also, for strings also you can
strings
use
only concatenate.
yeah.
That's,
Yeah, strings only concatenate. So whatever the output which some function will give, so actually basically the thing is, in some cases you may not get error if you say explicitly, if you use explicitly as an object. But yeah, what compiler assures is like when you do type safety thing, when you use generics, then compiler will say, okay, you told this is of type string, while declaring you are telling this is of type integer and this is of type integer. So the compiler will check whatever the all the pops, like whatever you are calling here or whatever you are performing within this method, within this class, it will check whether this is compatible with the type which you have defined, and then will give compiler error if it is not compatible. But in few cases, if you are using something like which compiler cannot decide, if you use like object or if you use some superclass or subclass, in that cases a compiler cannot decide like whether it gives error or not. It will just simply compiles at that time. So at that point of time, this type safety will be useful. So if you say list of strings, then it will restrict only that so whatever you are doing in this calls, it will restrict only it will check whether all the operations which you are performing in that class are of type or all these operations can be performed on strings or not. But if you simply does on object, but it may not what give compiler error in those cases. So it guarantees the type safety. Okay, I will show you more clearly if any code comes in this questions itself. Okay, if something related to that, I will show you here. Yeah, for now I'm unable to get a proper example, but if something comes, I will just state this ensures the type safety, something like that. Okay, so this is encapsulation and the data abstraction is different, no? So okay, choose the correct code block to bound the type variable of class example where x is an interface. So you want to bound the type variable. That means you want to restrict the type variables to be of something where x is an interface, they are telling. So you want to bound the type variable of class example to x. That means how you can do, you can say class example implements you cannot use, right? Yeah, so
but why not super?
Why not? So just let me what to bound the type variable t of class example where x is an interface. So what does super means? Super of x means, so actually Arup sir has already told now what does super means.
It told key extent when we are used, it is the lower bound.
So
No, sorry, upper
means
bound.
extends is upper bound. That means it can be interface x or anything subtype of interface x, anything that is subtype of x. That means yeah.
So where x is an interface.
Yeah, x is an interface. So that means it should be child interface having some like, so something which is, this is like x is subtype, like t can be what, x or some or subtype of x, right? Here in the first case, but in the second case, can you tell what does this mean? T
is the, when super means x can be, it's a reverse thing.
X can be subtype
of t.
So does this mean since interface can be subtype of anything, can it be possible?
No,
that's why not. Okay.
Okay.
Output, they're asking about the output.
Example t extend number tx return x. Example integer object int of a.
Int of a means whatever the value character. So if a is 65, it will give 65. If the so you are passing this. So example class, it is, we are telling as integer, that is it is like it is it belongs to number only, no? Integer, double and all the other things except character and boolean. So it comes under number. So this is fine, and you are calling in this constructor you are setting x, that means this as 65, no? That means this x as 65 you are telling, and t dot you are calling obj dot get function. Get function will return this x, right? X is of type t. So what it will return? It will return whatever the value x X.
But here in this same program, if I don't write this function tget return x, even though the x is means storing the value of 65, right?
Yeah, X will store the value of
Instead of
65.
system.out println, if I write system out println x, then also I will get the same thing, right?
So you should use object, no, as X.
Object.
Okay, if you say obj dot X, yeah, then it will give, but that is not good practice. You okay, by default, like mostly the what instance variables will be private, no, so you can use them using access
Yeah. If it is
in order
private,
to,
then
yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's not private here, but mostly that will be the case, no, so this is used. Okay, it will give okay. Okay, you have class repository, and that is like T1 and T2 are like they are unbounded, so they can be anything. So but here you are not using what this type, no, you are not using object type, you are using only primitive type, so it will give compiler error because double is primitive, no, primitive scalar, no, that is not object reference type, so it will give compiler error. This code. Okay, yeah, if anyone has doubt, you can stop me. Here repository, it has T, so it can take anything. So here character is like it is reference type, so it is okay. And you are telling a dot push off. So now here you have declared T as of type character, right?
T is a character type.
Yeah, T is a character. Here, okay, I think here type safety also, I can explain type safety also here. So here now this here T will be character in your class, here also T will be character, here also T will be character. Okay, now you are saying a dot push of A, but here A is a string, so it won't work, no, it will give compiler error right here.
Why it is string? Because double quote.
Yeah, it is in double quote, so it is a string.
Here it double quote means string, single quote means character.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what. But if your class is of type, let's take this using without, let us assume there is no generic here. Think it as normal class. If it is taking some object here where, and if you say void push using some object where this dot where equal to where you are telling. Okay, now here if I do the same thing without this generic here, without this character here, and if I say a dot push of A, will this work here?
A dot push of A, then it will return the A.
Yeah, then here it will work, no, here it will work.
Yes, because I didn't restrict this thing. Here it will work because anything you can pass, it will convert it to the object
anything
type.
Yeah, anything it will pass, it will what generally it will what it will take it.
It will become the object type.
Yeah, it will become
and
the
it will
object type.
print it accordingly.
Yeah, it will print accordingly, but here also type safety doesn't come, no, here also I think there should be some more example in this, in the coming things. We'll see. This program generates compiler error because the type argument is not within the bound with the type variable. That is not within the bound, we cannot say, because we are passing a different thing. It's not within the bound, we are passing a different thing, no, here. So if it is an okay, here you are not saying if t extends number, and if you are passing string, that we are not doing here. We are not checking the bounds here. The compiler error is occurring because of different reason. Okay, this program will not compile error because string cannot be converted to character error. It is coming because of different reason, not because of this type argument is not within the bound with the type variable. Here no bounds, no, in your question at all. So you are not saying t, you are not restricting t to some bounds, some upper bound, you are not setting it. You're saying it's just object. It is not, it is because it is taking, you are declaring it as type character, but you are giving string. So that's why you are getting error. It is not with bounds.
It
Okay.
is the compile time error, but type mismatch, right?
Yeah, because of type. Yeah, not expected type parameter. We are not passing. Yeah.
But 1 minute, this repository character, right? Repository character a dot push a dot push string a dot push. It is a compile time error. Yeah. No, I'm just thinking whether it is a compile time or runtime error.
Yeah, this is compile time error.
This is
only
compile time error
because type checking is happening. No, that's why. Okay, which of the following statements is true about the code given below? Okay, what does this mean? T extends vehicles means, so T can be subclass of vehicle, or T can be subclass vehicle. T can be vehicle. No, its parent is, it is also invalid. So that's why. Which of the following options is used to declare the wildcard? Previously, you have seen the question mark. Okay. That's the Java program given below and chose all the correct options for line 1. Okay. So in order to call this one, we have seen previously also, no? I think show obj1, array1 and array2 in the same, in the previously it was asking about the output, and here we're asking about the valid declaration. So new show of arr1 is not there because no method, no, with single parameter. Only method that is taking 2 parameters is there. This one.
Yes.
That's why these all are invalid. Okay. As they are unbounded, you can pass anything, either integer or string, and also they are of reference type. Okay. No compiler error here. So here you cannot pass error 3 and error 4 because they are like not reference type. They are not of object type. For all the remaining things are valid because there are 2 argument method. There is 2 argument method and also 1 argument method. You can pass either error1, error2, or both error1 and error2 in this reverse manner, also in this exchanged manner also of error1 and error2. Okay, but not error3 and error4. As this method is generic, you can pass only what's reference type, object type, not primitive types. Choose the correct argument for the container class. Number is a class and runnable is an interface. Choose the correct argument type for the container class. Some codes here. So what does this mean? Okay, T extends number and runnable. Does runnable. So this class repository is extending number and implementing this runnable interface. So I don't know what to discuss here. Here they have already discussed, no, runnable is an interface, and you can, the thing is like maybe this question is because how can, like, here we are extending 2 things, no, like number and runnable. To do this you are using ampersand, no. That purpose is like you can restrict your type parameter to multiple bounds. Like you can say it extends number and runnable. You can use multiple things here. This is a combination of interface and a class, so that's why the purpose is to make familiar.
One thing.
Yeah.
When earlier we used to extend some class, and at the same time I want to implement some of the interface, then the syntax that we used to write, T extends that class and implements that. But
yeah, for type parameters it will be extend only, whatever interface and also for classes the thing we should use is extends only for this type parameters, for generic type parameters.
And this small ampersand is accepted.
Small ampersand is for indicating that you are extending multiple things, no. You are extending number. This T is extending number and T is subtype of number and runnable interface.
Here is, that means no need to write the implement
No,
this
no,
runnable.
no. This is like syntactical thing only. In order to do this multiple, if your type parameters what extends, if it is a subtype of multiple, like it can be if it is a subtype of like multiple classes or multiple interfaces, you can use the syntax by using the ampersand thing.
Now, suppose if this t extends number and it will implement two things, runnable and doable, say. On that time, how do you write that?
Same, you can use the same syntax, t extends doable and runnable.
I use twice ampersand, and runnable and doable, like that.
So you are saying instead of here you are saying it extends both number, runnable and doable, you are telling, no?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I should check this whether this is done using comma or ampersand. I should check. Okay, I'm not sure here. I think this is syntactical.
No,
thing.
comma. If you use, it will take as a separate one. It is ampersand only, I think. Can you repeat your question?
No, I'm saying, sir, if the class is number and the interface is, instead of runnable, there is two interfaces, runnable and doable. Then how do I write this? T extends number and runnable and doable, like this.
Okay. I got it. Probably it is ampersand only. Okay, yeah. Nalini, yes, we need to check it.
Yeah, we need to check. Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah. So you are here. The thing is like, okay, there is static void main method. In this, you are this is like, you are not familiar with this, but this is similar to whatever. Let us think like array list is a class. It stores. It is like similar to your Python list. It will store list of values, but here you are restricting you to store only strings. That means you can pass only strings to this list. So you are saying this dot add of hello, hola, hi, and so this is, you are adding normal strings here to your list, and you are calling this method adding, and you are this passing this list. So you are passing here this list, whatever list, the list which has hello, hola, and hey in that. So yeah, so this here, this is a normal list. For the normal list, you can add anything, no? For the normal list, you can add like strings, integers, boolean, or anything. But if it is a array list of strings, you can add only here strings. If you say list dot add of 10 or 20, then it will give error because it is taking only strings. But you are you told like this array list this list will take only strings, this can hold only strings. But if you pass 10 or 20 to this list, it will give compiler error here. It will say that type is not compatible. But here you are passing this list to array list. L is a normal list. No, this is like not generic list. It is normal list. It is like normal list. You can add anything to this list. So you are just printing the list. So adding of list you are doing. So that means this will happen like false and then will happen, and then system.out.println list you are doing. So I should check, I think. Sir, Arup sir?
Yeah.
Hello.
Where this add function is defined?
Yeah, adding function is defined here, no?
Where?
Here.
No, there is adding L dot add.
Yeah, L is here. L is this list, this array list. L is
array list, but at false means I am means inserting one element, like that is false.
Yeah.
Where this function is defined, or it is the auto function that I should
this
understand?
array list class is like is present in this java.util package. Here in this array list class, this is like predefined class, kind of string class. Here you have inbuilt functions, no, length, in all these things. Yeah, similarly array list is also inbuilt class. You have this this add method there, where by using this method you can insert the elements in your list. Okay.
I am defining my array list as a string, right?
Yeah, you are telling this list list as string, like it can hold is a array list, and you are telling it can hold only strings. Okay.
So even though I am passing some integer value, that will store as a string value.
You cannot pass integer value there for this list.
But in the bottom one, I am passing now array list L.
L is different. L is not generic, no. L is like normal list.
L is normal list. That is why. But then when I'm asking for the print, so why this false and 10 also get printed?
Yeah, that's what I think I should check. Just give me a minute. I will check. Okay. Just give me a minute. I will open it. Just I'm opening the REPL and I'm checking.
Okay.
Okay, here I'm doing the same thing, but I should. I think we are getting some error. We'll see what is out. Okay.
It get printed everything.
Yeah, it get printed everything. So main Java uses unchecked or unsafe operation recompile with. Okay, array list is a draw type. Reference to generic should be parameterized. Okay, I will come back to this question in the next class. Just I think I should know.
Okay.
Like, I should search more about this. So just see the solution. When a generic object visits a non-generic area, then it starts behaving like non-generic object and vice versa. But the thing is, like, it is not returning L here, no, but the here list will be still, I think list will be of type generic. Okay, we'll see this later. I will note down this. Which of the following classes is not predefined class in Java? So all these classes are predefined classes in Java. So none of the above is correct.
Actually, we don't know this thread part.
Yeah, thread is there in Java. Thread is the class in Java.
In which week we will
week
know
10
this?
and 11. Week 10 and 11. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So this get class and this thing Sarup sir has not explained. Should I do it now or should we do it later?
Then this part we will do it in next class.
Yeah, I think also that is better.
Yeah, yes, sir. Like, is this understandable? Like this code, or do you want to explain something, or we'll see in the next session, or should we see in the next session?
What is the problem with this code?
So actually, okay.
Actually, it is a collection type. It will be done in better way in next week.
Yeah.
But do you have any specific problem?
Yeah, the thing is like this is
Oh, that
so
is a
you-
generic and this is a non-generic, right?
yeah, that is a
Okay, next day it will take time. We'll do it next day.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I
So,
think
do you have any question?
Yeah.
No, sir. In Saturday we have the only revision session, right?
Yeah, we'll do the revision session. That is the plan. But we'll check out. We'll let you know, like in between, if you're doing anything.
And do you have any plan to release any mock thing?
Yet not, but we'll check out.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.